What's up, people? Question was the other day, or yesterday, why am I so bullish? How could I switch sides so quickly? Go from the end of the world to wanting to buy everything indiscriminately across the board. Let's go back 4 or 5 videos ago where I told you I was getting out of the market, and there will soon be a time where we can buy stocks, and I use the word indiscriminately because the bears will be trapped and the market will start going back up. That is what we call a sideways market. Everybody, as far as I'm concerned, was looking for that flash crash to be completed. And I wanted the QID to hit $20.40 to get to that price. That was my goal. When they got there, I think, what was it, 2043 exactly? And they went to about 2070, whatever the price was. QID. Let's go back several days. If we could look at a chart. So anyway, yeah, so 2075. So then the next day, and I'm going to explain to you how, if you don't know this by now, the market overshoots to frighten the people. It wants max pain. And I said there will be the max pain day where we are going to have to go to a point where it looks like we're going to fall off the earth. Then that will be the time to get out of your shorts and go long. Considering I told you again that I was doing piker size, getting out of the QID and then getting long the QQQs. When I mention the Qs, generally I'm talking about the 4 Qs. That is the long side, or depending on how you go. But the QUID is the QID, the QQQ is also known as the Q. Generally I'm long the Qs, and if I'm long the QID, I'm betting the market's going down. Okay, why could I? And the enlightenment that I had was that the fact that you have to be schizophrenic in this market. My problem was that I would be so bent on the short side, or I'm so bullish, I would be blinded by when the reversals would be staring me in the face and all the indications that the market was about to change direction. And right now, considering I think we're going to go sideways, once we had the down move was completed and we didn't crash, you had to go switch sides completely and then look for 6 or 7 day rally, which is what we're in right now. We all agreed, or my son and I, Fatty, we agreed that now the QUID will go from 2070 back to 17 and a half. And now we're at 1780. So, of course, earnings are now going to be the biggest indication of where we're going to go for the next month and a half. But here's the thing. We already had the sell-off. And the sell-off, as much as it's a cliche, was saying that the market had run far too fast in the face of earnings because we don't know what the earnings are going to be. So now if the earnings are bad, we can say the market had already sold off. They're baked in. The market's baked in the report. That's why shorting Alcoa, as I saw some guy who does a video show on thestreet.com went to say, was to short Alcoa, to sell your Alcoa before the earnings came out, which he was completely wrong. Don't know why this guy has a video show on the street.com. But going back to the street.com and Cramer, everybody's hypercritical of the guy, how he's always switching gears and talking about this and that and the other thing, and how he says he made you money when it's blatantly obvious that 2 days ago he was telling you to sell something. The difference between him and I is that I'm always telling you what to do in this chat room at hitthebid.com. And I was suggesting that you buy everything in sight over the last 3 or 4 days, saying that the QID and the Qs would have to get to 45. Now, going back to the video yesterday, what did I say? I sold the Qs at 45. Okay, I bought them at 43.70, and I was like, all right, we're probably gonna get, and that was late to the party. Okay, I said we were probably gonna get to 45 by last Friday or today. Now, I have set the market off. This is where I get stubborn. I don't want to chase too many things. Missed the Broadcom, I missed the Akamai lows, I missed the US Steel under 40. was looking to buy some U.S. Steel calls, betting on the Alcoa reporting decent numbers. I thought U.S. Steel would probably pop with that. Now, we've missed 5 points in the U.S. Steel. 38 was your bottom. Now we got the stock at 43. Generally, I don't buy things, but what U.S. Steel has also shown me in the past is that there is no missing U.S. Steel. The stock could easily run to $50 from here in anticipation of their earnings, which are the 27th. And here's where you got to get the subtlety. I'm not buying U.S. Steel. I'm looking for a pullback. So if you're one of those guys that doesn't mind chasing a stock that you've missed your entry on, go ahead and buy U.S. Steel again. And now, 3 days later from now, when the U.S. Steel is at 50, or whatever that is, a couple of days from now, a week from now, it's at 50, I'm not going to say, see, I told you to buy U.S. Steel, because I'm not giving it you my go get it. I'm not buying it. So maybe you're just doing what, you're following along like what I do is gold. I'm just telling you, I think it's going to go to 50, but I'm not buying it. So you take that however you want. And you know what? Somehow, somewhere, during the day, if U.S. Steel pulls back to, say, 42.50 and hangs on to that, I might be going long U.S. Steel, so this video becomes irrelevant. What I still do like is Hartford Financial at these levels, because I love the stock at 30. They didn't have a bad quarter last quarter, but the market took it down. As long as with the rest of the other stocks, it took the stock market down. So I'm liking U.S. Steel. I'm liking Hartford Financial. But what I am liking more importantly than everything else is Google. And that's why we're going up. And that's why I've been buying the Qs. Because Google has been taken apart, destroyed, not rallying with the rest of the market when it was rallying. So now it's leading the charge on the way back. Now they sold off on the last couple of earnings reports. So it's basically telling me this is the setup. People are starting to not believe in Google. People are starting to not believe in the growth story, whatever the case is. This is the time to be buying Google, because it's going to beat the shit out of all the doubters. Even if it's a temporary thing. Probably going to get back to 500. And if the earnings are not, however, misconstrued or misunderstood or misreported or whatever it is, you know how the headlines could read one thing and the stock does another thing. Somehow, somewhere, because during the flash crash, you know what I sold out of, right? I got stopped out of Akamai, and I also had Google in my account. I got stopped out of Google. Akamai has come back, obviously, but Google has not come back. Google still above, what was it, 500, where I got beaten out of it, or 490, something like that. Still hasn't got back to that price. So I'm assuming that all stocks go back to where I sell them, just to insult me. So we're going to have to look for Google to get back to at least 500. Then we have just the basics of what goes on during the day with our reversals, how much we love our reversals. DNDN has been a great trading stock lately. FSLR has been pretty good also, except we couldn't get any shares to short. And we've also banned TSLA. I won't even mention it by name. TSLA. I don't even know if that's a symbol. TSLA. We have banned this stock from our vernacular, from our chat room, from our existence. The stock is way too thin. It is awful. It's a company that makes, you know what they make. I'm not going to talk about it. But I hope the stock goes to zero and gets delisted and everybody loses all their money. I hope that happens. And I hope all the people that brought the company public get fired. And I hope they lose their homes. And then I hope not only they lose their homes, but I hope they're beaten up in prison when they're sent there for misleading the public into buying the stock. That's what I hope. Okay. And slap parties, of course. So, once and for all, let's bark it out. Get those endorphins flowing. And let's take on this day, bitches.
I would much prefer Krull.